Good afternoon, folks. Back once again to tell another story that took place during my lifetime. My grandchildren would love all this stuff because I'm sure unloading on a lot of weird things that happened to me. Tonight we're going to talk about a time let me put it this way. Last time I was about 16 and a half, and I finished that story, and tonight we're going to be about 18-year-old. I'm working in a cotton mill in a card room, if you know what I'm talking about. And they process cotton down and make it into like a thin rope. It's real soft, and they run that through the plant and make it yarn out of it. But anyway, I was working in this apartment, had these big metal drums with steel wire on it that would tear this cotton apart. Sometimes it gets clogged in there, and you have to go in there and take the clogs out. But on this given night, we had talked to this young man and was going down to Parsons Mountain for a deer hunt. I'd never been on a deer hunt before. I was 18-year-old. In early years, we didn't have deer in my area. I was living in Easley, South Carolina. And now there are places crawling with deer. But back then, it wasn't there. So it just got the permission to go down there and hunt. And I was getting off that morning at 7 o'clock. We're going to be late. It's going to be out of daylight, which if you're a deer hunter, you know you like to be in there at daylight. But still, any hunt was better than no hunt. And I didn't even have a shotgun or a rifle to hunt deer with at the time. I'd never had a place to hunt them. So this fellow at work there, Dave Jimmy, he said, Don, he said, if you go with me, I need somebody to go with me. Because if you kill a big deer, I need somebody to help drag him out. I said, well, I'll go. I'll tell you that. I never deer hunted before. I had a license. So he said, well, I got shotguns. He said, I've got a Browning that I use. I've got an old double barrel shotgun, two full choke barrels, old double hammer gun. I said, well, that's fine, because I've always used a single barrel 20 gauge squirrel hunting. So I have no problem with that. He said, I've even got the shells for you. I said, that's right, way to go. So we're going down there. Going to leave that work at 7 o'clock. Well, that night at 2 o'clock, of all times for something to happen, I had a clog in one of the machines I was working on in the card room. And I reached up in there to get that clog out, and the machine wasn't supposed to be moving, but it did, and caught my finger. And when it caught my finger, people died several times. People died years ago they did, getting caught with that and pull them in there and crush them and kill them. And it caught my finger, and it just crushed that fingertip, about like that right there, crushed it. And ripped the meat completely off, broke the bone. And luckily I was able to pull it back without getting sucked up in there. I pulled that out, looked at it, and there's a piece of meat hanging down here on the side, broken bone, you know. I said, man, I can't win. Now, this would have normally had, if there's blood going everywhere, but I was able to hold it tight enough to get it to finally slow up. And this might have upset somebody else, but I guess I grew up with an old man beat the crap out of me all the time. So I seen a lot of blood growing up, so you just got to live with it. But I said, now this is my trigger finger of all fingers. Now I got all these others, trigger finger. So I said, now what am I going to do deer hunting with a trigger finger? I've never shot with a left finger. I never tried to aim left-handed. So I said, well, I can't do like this. I can reach around like this. I said, use this finger. So I'm going to try to use this finger. So I got a broke finger and there's blood going everywhere. So I'm still going deer hunting. I'm telling you, I'm going. So I go over and tell the boss man what happened. They take me to the hospital up there. And sure enough, he broke the bone, but he just put a splint on it. That's all he can do for it. And put about 21 stitches around it. Pulled the meat back over. He said, well, I think it'll take, but if it don't take, we'll have to take it off later on. He said, but we'll try first. So he put all that back together, and he put a big bandage around it. And stopped the bleeding. So I went back to work and worked about 2.5 hours until time to go, and got my job caught up and everything. And then me and the boy left out and headed to Parsons Mountain. We got down around 8:30 or whatever that morning. And it's cold morning, which is good. I love cold. But it was a cold morning. And got out of the car and went down a hill. And there was a hollow running parallel. The car's up on a ridge up above us. But we dropped off down into a hollow. And I went one way and Jimmy went the other way. Supposed to be back about dinner time. At no particular time, but around dinner time, which is 11:30, 12:30, whatever. So I go down this hollow, and I've never deer hunted before. Never seen a deer in a while. So I'm walking down the hollow looking. I've got this double barrel shotgun he gave me, and it's got to be 100-year-old. Now think about it. It probably had Damascus barrels. Back at that time, I didn't know what a Damascus was. And it's not supposed to shoot modern shells, if it was. I can't remember because it was old. It probably was. Probably would have blown my head off. But anyway, we went down the hollow. And about 150 yards. Wasn't that far, about 150 yards, 100 yards, maybe 100 yards. I come across a place, and you can see, and even though I'm not a deer hunter, I can tell what a deer track looks like. At least a bunch of them. And the ground is covered. There's trails coming down, going across, going down the hollow, up the hollow. I said, man, it's like a major city right here. And I'm looking around for deer, standing there for a few minutes, and I don't see anything. And I thought, well, I don't know really how to hunt. I guess I need to hide. They probably get close to me. It's going to smell me. Probably need to get up high above them somehow or another. And I get to looking around. Well, back then, climbing trees was nothing to me. Nothing. So I'm looking around. And there's a tree about that big around. It's right in the middle of the bottom, right down in the bottom. And I said, well, now that's in the right spot. I look up there, it was a poplar. And I look up there in, it was red oak. I remember now, red oak. And I look up there about 14, 15 foot off the ground. There was a limb up there about that big around. Now, for me, that's plenty to stand on. It's just going straight out and real good, strong limb. And looked like about 4 foot above it was another limb going right out above it. And I thought, well, if I can stand on that one, I can prop up on the other. I said, if I get up there, I can hunt. And I had a rope with me to pull a deer out if I got one, tie him up, drag him out. So I tied a rope to the gun, took the shells out of the thing, tied a rope to it, climbed up the tree, and I just shimmied up the tree, because, like I said, shimmying up trees was no problem when you're 18-year-old. You can do anything. I got up on the tree, sat down on a limb, stood up on a limb, and propped up, felt it. Man, it was perfect. And, just kind of leaning forward just a little bit. The limb that you lean on was just a little bit out. I said, this is just like being in a house. I said, I can go to sleep up here, just lean on this if I wanted to. So I pulled up the gun, got it up there, laid it up on the, cocked it, put 2 shells in it, popped it back shut, and boy, I was ready to hunt. And I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there. And I guess about an hour and I've been there, a while. Been probably an hour and a half. And I could hear deer coming in the woods. Now, I ain't seen no deer. Don't really know exactly what one sounds like. But my gosh, it's got to be a deer for it. It's making a lot of racket. Ka-choonch. 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 I can hear it scratching the leaves. Ka-choonch. Ka-choonch. It's about like that about every 15, 30 seconds. But I was in open hard oaks, and both sides of the ridges were open, but there's a lot of big trees. And I kept saying, well, it's got to be behind one of them trees, and it's either moving around or it's scratching or something, and it can't be too far. Now, I could hear pretty good when I was young. Can't hear worth a crap now. But back then, I could hear. And I said, maybe I just hear farther off than I can see. Nah, it can't be that dang good. I kept looking. I leaned out as far as I could, hang over. I looked way over there. I couldn't see that sucker. I bet it must have went on for a friggin' hour. I said, this ain't no way a deer standing there for an hour, scratching the ground, beating on the ground. Maybe he sees me and he's pawing the ground, wanting me to move. Well, I was moving, trying to see him. So, but maybe he don't know what I am. So I keep looking. I can't figure it out. And just finally to give up. I don't know where he's at. I can't find him. I just kind of dropped my head down, just propped up. He says, I need to take a break. I looked down, and boy, I jumped back, looked down again, looked again. I said, holy cow. I said, hey, somebody killed a dang deer down here, boy. There's blood everywhere. And I got that, wait a minute. I came up down there. That's where I climbed. And I looked, and as I'm looking, it goes, ka-choonch. Same sound I heard. I said, what? Ka-choonch. And I looked, and it was the end of my finger. It had started bleeding. And when it fell 15 foot, hit the leaves, you heard it hit the leaves. I said, son of a gun. I mean, there was a puddle of blood that big down there. Now, it wasn't deep, but it was a big puddle because it was splattering all over the big old beautiful leaves. I said, son of a gun. So I commenced to tighten the bandages down real good, and I got it just about completely stopped. And I said, son of a gun. I said, that's my luck down here. And finger bleeding to death. So I'm sitting there, another about probably 10, 15 minutes, and I heard this kaboom, kaboom, boom coming down the road. This old dirt road up on the ridge, remember? And here comes this old vehicle down through there. A couple of hunters. I said, well, there's somebody else down here. That's the first vehicle I seen in the woods beside us. Well, he come right up about 100 yards past me where we'd parked, and they stopped. And I thought, now, they ain't never messing with our car, I hope. And I'm kind of look up there. I'm looking through leaves and treetops because I'm looking through the hillside. And I can't quite make them out clear, but finally they get out. And as I'm watching up there, I see fluorescent. They putting vest on. They putting vest on. They're hunters. They ain't ever steal something, probably. Not likely. So I'm sitting there in a tree, and I'm up now. I'm in the bottom. If they look down the hill, I got fluorescent vest on. I mean, they're 25 foot above me up on that ridge, but they're about 100 yards up the hill. Well, they come down the hill. There really is not much between me and just a few little trees. But if they just looked my way, looking down the hill, they could see me. But what do? They come down the hill, and they're looking at the ground the whole time talking. And they are talking, yaggity yag, yaggity yag. I said, how in the world? They're running my hunt, they're running their hunt. Yaggity yag, yaggity. And they get in the bottom, and then they start coming down the bottom. And as they come down the bottom, they're dropping down. Well, when they get within about 30, 40 yards of me, they're actually below me because I'm up 15 foot in a tree. And I'm just sitting there, I'm just looking down at them as they're walking right by me. And I said, they're going to walk right under me, which it was a main trail there now. And they just yaggity yag talking, and they get right under me. Now, I'm 15 foot maybe to my feet above them, and there is nothing. There's no leaves or nothing between them and me. I mean, you look straight up, you just look at the bottom of my feet, and me looking, leaning there like this, looking over at them. Well, I'm watching. I said, if they look up, I'm just going to say, hi, how you doing? Get out of here. You're running my hunt. And so I'm just looking down at them, and they get right on me. And one says, whoa, look at that. Look at all the blood everywhere. Look at all this blood. Somebody done killed a deer. Or maybe it's just wounded. I don't see nowhere to drug him out. He says, see if you find where he went. We'll follow him out of here. He's got to be wounded. Boy, they get to looking every way. And they looking every way. Well, blood don't go nowhere. Deer didn't run off. And they look, and they finally can't figure it. So they just go off down the trail. And they still talking. And they got the guns ready. And they looking. And I watched them go down the hill. And it was comical. I mean, I would have loved, I didn't want to run my hunt. I wanted them out of there. But I should have said something to them. Because they was really, they thought they was on a big deer, or a wounded deer anyway. So they left. And I guess half hour, 45 minutes later, they gone. It's about time to come down for dinner, meet Jimmy, my buddy. And the one that loaned me the shotgun, so I wouldn't have to wait on it. Wasn't for him. Wasn't for him, I'd be sitting home in a nice warm bed, watching TV or something. No, I'm down here in the freezing woods, and it is cold. But, that's deer hunting. So I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and get down. I just kind of ease up through the woods. And by the time I get there, he'll be at the car, or he won't be there much longer if he'll get there. So to get down, that's the first thing I do is I'll reach open the shotgun, pull 2 shells out. I ain't dropping that shotgun down loaded. So I breach it open and pull 2 shells out. And I do use a single shot shotgun. And they're basically the same, except one's got 2 barrels, one's got 1. If you know anything about it, it's a hammer gun. When you use a hammer gun, when you pull that hammer back, if you looked in there and you can actually see in a little hole, you can see the point of your firing pin. And when the hammer hits that firing pin, the firing pin goes forward, it hits the back of the shell goes off. So I just happened to glance over there in the firing hose. Now that's not my gun, but I know the firing pin should be just barely behind the hole. It almost sticks out, but just before it sticks out, it just barely stops. And when the hammer hits it, comes out. Well, I don't see the firing pin on the barrel I'm looking at. So I look in the other barrel down the breech. I don't see that firing pin either. And I kept looking down. I said, well, maybe it's a different gun, different. And I kept looking at it, pull it. I said, you know what? It's that gun ain't got no firing pins. Ain't no way. I swear it ain't got no firing pin. Finally, I got down. When I got down, tried that thing. Guess what? It didn't have no firing pins. So that meant this gun couldn't fire. That meant I didn't have to worry about dragging a deer out of the woods. That meant that I wasn't going to get a deer. That meant the only reason I was down there was to drag Jimmy's deer out for him when he got a deer. That meant I was pissed. That meant I was looking for Jimmy, and I go get his butt. So down to the woods I go. I ain't waiting for Jimmy. I'm looking for Jimmy. Jimmy! Jimmy! You got me down here. I cut my finger off all morning in the woods down here with a gun with no firearm. He finally come wandering up. He said, "What's the matter, Donnie?" I said, "Boy, come over here right now." I said, "Put that gun down. Me and you go have a talk right now." "Now, wait a minute, Donnie." He said, "Now, I know what you're going to say." I said, "You know what I'm going to say." He said, "Donnie, you don't understand. I need somebody down here if I kill deer. Them things are hard to drag out of the woods." I said, "Oh, you're telling me." And he said, "Here, you can use my gun all the way back to the car." I looked at him. I said, "Well, he was my friend. I really didn't want to whoop his butt, but he deserved it. That's not, you don't do that to Hunter. That's a low trick. Like, give me that gun." So I took his gun and I walked up through the woods there. And I didn't see that. But I did get to hunt for about 10 minutes on the way back to the car. But that was a very interesting first deer hunt. If that don't get you, I figure from there on out, it's got to get better. And it did get better, but there was some big hiccups over the years. Whoa. But that was the first one. First deer hunt for Donnie Knight. And 18-year-old. And I never forgot it. Finger, actually, 2.5 years later, the finger didn't, you see it didn't lose it. But the feeling came back. It killed all the nerves, but they grew back. So it's possible to cut them all the way off almost and get them to come back. That's the end of that story for today anyway. Catch you later. Tell you another one.